we have talked about, I don't think we've talked about it specifically, but Katt Williams definitely talked about it. And Dave Chappelle has talked about it. And what it's in reference to is there an issue in Hollywood with black men putting on a dress? Now, Kat has talked about it from an Illuminati perspective, as if like you got to do something strange for a piece of change in the industry. Um, he has Dave Chappelle has talked about how the pressures of how he was pressured into trying to put on a dress and stuff like that. Um, and we've seen many people, many actors putting on dress. Tyler Perry. By the way, Tyler Perry had already talked about it when he was asked about this whole thing, and he was like, "Didn't nobody force me to put a dress on? I put that on because I wanted to put a dress on." And he also said that he put it on as a costume, not as a way to like express himself or whatever. So he was like, "Man, Medea is a costume for me. I don't, which hey, that's his right." But we've seen others, Martin Lawrence, Wesley Snipes, um, Eddie Murphy. We've seen a lot of talented black, male actors get into a dress. There have been also other actors who have said that, like, no, I'm not going to put on a dress. And more times than not, it does not work out as well for them. I'm thinking of Omar Gooding, I believe, from Baby Boy. He had an interview where he talked about like, I'm not doing certain things. And it's not, he's like, I'm not homophobic, I'm not transphobic, it's nothing like that. Um, he's just like, it's just not for me. Now again, yeah, whoever can put on whatever conspiracy theory hat that they want to, y'all entitled to all of that. But I just thought that it was an interesting conversation to have because we just got Marlon Wayans who weighed in on it. He was asked about this in an interview, and he gave an interesting response. That I wanted to cover and talk to y'all about. Because if you recall, I mean, listen, him and his brother Sean, they put on a great performance in White Chicks. Like that was funny. It was a great whole thing where they dressed up as these white girls, and they I thought it was a pretty good comedy at the time. But he did weigh in on this subject, and I thought it was interesting, so I did want to cover it real quick. He said here, you talking to a black man that put on a dress. The conversation, to me, it's silly. It's a negative thing that is only in black people. We have, for some reason, been programmed to look down on the craziest parts of our spirits. We're supposed to embrace our past, our history, our heroes, different levels of comedy. Robin Williams puts on a dress and wins an award. His community embraces him. We're labeled by our own people. That is not an artist mindset. When you're an artist, you just go out and create art. Hey, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Um, Robin Williams definitely got nominated. I want to say Dustin Hoffman, I think, also got nominated as well. Like, in other words, especially in white community, white culture, they don't have a problem dressing up in, cross-dressing or whatever for certain roles. And people elevate them. They highlight them for it. But this is the only pushback I would give to Marlon Wayans, which is, he said here, what did he say? It's a negative thing that is only in black people. My question, and if I were interviewing him, I would have said, why do you think it's only in black people that have that? So I'm not going to take away anything that he said. I'm not going to take anything away from that because he's right. As an artist, it's art. You should be able to do whatever in art and not be vilified for it. However, as a black man, you should also understand that Black people, especially Black men, have a history. We have a cultural, historical stigma that has also happened to us. That's where that trauma comes from. That whole, buck breaking, or the whole thing of like emasculating Black men during slave times, that generational trauma, it's unique and it has passed down over time. That's not the story for white culture. That's not the story for Asian, Latino, Hispanic culture. They don't have that past trauma, and that's why it's a Black thing. So you're right. It is something that is negative for Black people. At the same time, you're right. It is something that when it comes to art, you should have that freedom of expression. So what I would only argue is both of y'all are right. Both sides are right. And at the same time, both sides should be able to stand on their truth. If you want to put on a dress and if you want to go do your thing, go do your thing. I still laughed at Big Mama's house. I still laughed at the clumps. I laughed at all that. I was there. I was ha 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 laughing. But when they say, hey, do you want to put on a dress? No, that ain't for me. That's not for me. Oh, that's not for you either? Okay, it's not for you. And both should be okay. I'm not gonna vilify Ricky Smiley for playing Miss Bernice. I'm not vilifying him for that. That's that man's choice. That man is putting food on his table. If he wants to do that for him and his image, let him be. It's not gonna be my story. I don't know if I told y'all this, but I've been approached. I'm not for no movies or nothing big, but I've been approached by some industry folks one time. Little funny ha. Hey, E-Man, don't you want to wear a wig and don't you want to put on a dress? And I said, no, not for me. Come on, it'll be funny. No, not for me. I'm straight. I'm good. No thanks. No shade to nobody else. It's not for me. And if that's the case for other people, so be it. But I don't think that we need to vilify each other for having those type of, feelings, because at the end of the day, I understand. I understand if somebody's like, no, that doesn't speak to my definition of manhood. And I also understand if somebody says, if I put on a dress, it doesn't define or defile my manhood either. I think both of them can be right. So yeah, I'm gonna play the middle on this. I do think that both sides have a right to feel how they want to feel, but I do feel, especially with Marlon's comments, it's a little disingenuous to just kind of discount the past trauma of why Black men especially feel some type of way when it comes to this, because we do have that history. So anyway, where do y'all stand on this whole topic of Black people, especially Black men dressing up? Does it bother you? Does it not bother you? Do you think the art should speak for itself? Do you think that, man, maybe nope, none of them should do it? Whatever you think, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. This was just a segment of one of my live chats, and if you're interested in joining in on the next one, be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications for more. I've got more videos and reviews to do for you all, and until next time, I'll see you all later.